There are some really awesome band directors that nobody knows of because they're in their own little neck of the woods and they're burning the house down and doing a great job.
If your program is strong, if you're doing the best you can, that's success. If you have kids loving music, that's success. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me to do this.
No, thank you for coming and joining us. You are, like I told you in the message, there's no more rural and no more better band director than Mr. Carroll Gotcher. So, Tony, do you want to introduce Mr. Gotcher, and then we'll just talk and see how things are going and all that stuff.
Sure. This is our first special guest, and this is Carroll Gotcher, band director at Jackson County Schools. He teaches middle school and high school, and I believe you're the only music teacher in the county. Is that correct?
There's an elementary teacher who teaches K-3.
Okay. So kind of a magician of all things, and we look forward to picking your brain.
Well, I appreciate it.
And he was number one on our list because, one, he's one of the most experienced guys we know. Two, he just does so darn much for every band in the Upper Cumberland. He has been the ringleader of many things that happen in Upper Cumberland, Tennessee area in the music programs. Not only does he run his high school and middle school programs and everything in there, and we'll definitely talk about that. He also leads the Cookville Community Band and conducts that. He also runs a jazz band entitled or named the Big Band Sound, and they are a group of professional, semi-professional musicians. Tony and I both played with that ensemble for off and on for a few years now, and it's a fantastic ensemble. He leads the Four Horns jazz ensemble. They're a little bit more professional than the big band, so or I think they are anyway. As well as plays in the Cumberland County Community Band, Southern Stars Brass Band, and I'm sure I've forgotten something else. Is there another brass band that you're?
I often play with the Music City Brass, which is a brass choir instead of a brass band. And right now in this cycle, I'm playing with the Green Hills Wind Symphony, which grew out of the Nashville Wind Ensemble.
Oh, okay. So very active musician in the area, very well respected. All three of us are TTU alums, and I think he get also an alumnus of UT Knoxville. Got his master's, if I'm correct, master's degree from UT. And then I'm not too sure on any other education. Carroll, was there anything else?
Oh, I went to high school.
Well, okay. Where did you go to high school? Where did you go to high school?
White House.
White House High School.
Yeah.
Okay.
When there was only one.
Okay.
It was a small town then. It's not anymore.
Yeah. So is that Rutherford County?
No, that's Robertson County.
Robertson County, Tennessee.
Robertson and Sumner County, it sits right on the line.
Okay. So, grew up in, his formative years in Middle Tennessee. Probably White House was a rural band there. I know you spent some time in Memphis, teaching at one of the schools in Memphis, and then I think your first job in this area coming back was Jackson County, correct? And you've been there for how many years have you been there now?
30 years in Jackson County.
30 years. So, and like Tony said, he's the only band director in the county. Services both schools, and there is a pre-K 3 or elementary director there. And you service more than one school. I know you travel at least one day a week, maybe 2 days a week.
1 day a week. That's correct.
So we'll when we get into answering our questions, you can go into a little bit more depth with that. We just you were definitely the first person we thought of when we started talking guests. So we've got to get Carroll on here, talk about. I want to hear some Carroll stories. I know that what you do and the results that you get from your program will be very helpful to numerous band directors who are in your same situation. I know I've stolen a ton from you, and you have freely let us steal from you, and we can't thank you enough. So, Tony, I'll let you ramble on now too, because I've rambled enough.
And I think Carroll sleeps a full 12 minutes a night.
Yeah. Yeah. On a
like
good
Buddy
night.
the Elf.
Jeez. So, Carroll, we will start. What we want to do, you're our first guest. So this is the first, you're our guinea pig here with having a guest in here. What we would like to do with all our guests is we have a series of 10 questions that we want to ask all of our guests, just to give us a little bit more insight into who you are and things like that. And then we'll spend the rest of the time asking you questions and drilling you and trying to figure out how can we steal some more of your stuff. So mine are a little more, well, the first 5 questions are a little more not program related or band necessarily related, but more director related. So I think we'll start with those before we forget other things, and then we'll just piggyback on these last questions. So question number 1, Carroll, is what was the piece of music that made you fall in love with band?
Well, my story's kind of weird, and I appreciate that I'm top of your list, so you must be going in reverse age order. But when I was in high school, I wanted to be an engineer because I was a smart kid, and that's what everybody told me I had to do. But we played the Clifton Williams Symphonians March, and on the same concert, we played the Cheshnikov Salvation is Created, and it was just such a cool concert that set the scene in my mind that's what I wanted to do. But we also played Rhythm of the Winds. As a matter of fact, we played Rhythm of the Winds on every concert my first 3 years of high school.
Oh my goodness.
On the one Christmas concert and on the one spring concert.
Wow. Okay.
So I did not want to be a band director if Rhythm of the Winds was what it was about. But then my senior year, somehow all the trombone parts went missing and we couldn't play Rhythm of the Winds anymore. So we played the Symphonians and we played the Cheshnikov.
Okay, just side note, Carroll is a trombone player. Trombone, euphonium. So yeah, that's kind of funny that all the trombone parts miss. Okay. But that would be okay. 2 great pieces.
Yes.
2 fantastic pieces. Yeah.
And I'm sure Rhythm of the Winds was the first time.
The first, yeah. All right. Question.
Wasn't that your piece, Mike? That got you was Rhythm of the Wind?
Yeah, Rhythm of the Wind. But we didn't play it 5 or 6 times. We just played it the one time. So it was good. So have you ever started a band from scratch, rebuilt a program, or inherited an established program? And if you've done more than one of those, which one was the hardest and which one was the most fun?
Well, I've never inherited an established program. The band I taught in Memphis was in shambles, and I took it over and built a program from it. So I guess that's rescued a program. And the same thing for the Gainsborough program. They thought it was pretty wonderful, but it was less than. And I built both of those. I've never started one from scratch technically, and I've never inherited an established program. So
okay. So the one at Jackson County that you're in and have been for a while, okay. So there was not much there.
When I got there were about 30 kids in the band. They had gone through half a year of beginning band, and then they were in big band.
Okay.
And so they played like beginners at Christmas.
Right. Okay. What does self-care look like for you? Because when we went through all the list, you are a busy guy. What are some things you deal with that's not band?
Well, that's difficult. I get away from school band by doing professional band. I get away from school band by performing myself. So that's probably, according to psychologists, not healthy, but it really provides an escape. I play at church every chance I get. And, I really enjoy playing, and that's not what I do in the school building. But aside from that, I cook every night, sometimes twice. We travel extensively. So I do those things, but hopefully I do other band than band.
Right. Okay. And we'll talk more about that as well, because I think it's important as a director to play as much as you can for whatever, for the resource. And we'll talk about that in a minute. We'll get on to that. If you weren't a band director, what would you be doing?
I'd be a band director. No. When I finally stop doing this, I'm going to do full-time copy work.
Oh, okay.
I do all of Bob Jagger's copy work, and I enjoy it tremendously. I just don't have time to do anybody else's. So when I do, I'm going to call Jay Dawson. I'm going to call all the guys at the publishing houses and say, I can do this, and I can do that in my pajamas.
Without the bow tie.
Yeah. But my actual dream vocation is, when I stop being a band director, to drive around to small rural bands and just show up at the band room and say, what can I do for you today? I can sit by that baritone player. I can show him fingerings. I can fix that clarinet. I can organize your library. I can do whatever you need me to do. And I would love to do that. And if I could find a way to monetize it, then that would be.
Yeah, that would be.
Dave Butler, I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
He retired from band directing, and now at Giant Steps, he travels around and does exactly that.
Yeah.
Well, except he has to sell stuff. I don't want to sell stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Well, maybe there might be some music stores that might need a good road rep.
I don't want to do that either. I don't want to sell stuff. I just want to show up.
Okay.
And being retired, I won't have to maybe sell stuff. So.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Number 5. What do you wish your undergrad school had prepared you better for? And what do you think undergrad prepared you for that you didn't think you would use, or what you were over prepared?
Well, I have a couple of parts to that question. First of all, I was going to be a physics teacher and lead the jazz band and assist with a big competitive marching band. That was my career goal.
Oh, okay.
Then I got to Memphis, and I was kind of hungry because I was unemployed, and my wife was in medical school, so I had to have a job, and the job included beginning band and no marching band, because Memphis schools don't march. And I discovered that I was pretty good at beginning band, and I've never gotten a physics interview in all the jobs I've done. So I was very pleased with the methods classes that had prepared me for beginning band.
Right. Okay.
I think they could have done a better job at relating fingerings, because it took a while for me to realize that clarinet across the break is saxophone, is flute, and that when clarinets are playing chromatic B natural, saxophones are playing chromatic F sharp. And that it took a while for me to realize that. And if they had covered that in methods classes, I think it would have made everything easier.
Right.
But what I'm very glad happened, when I went to college, there was a VAX computer, one big mainframe. So there weren't personal computers. So there wasn't notation software. But when I got to grad school, I took a notation software class because I needed a theory class, and that counted. And then I got to do all of UT's marching band copy work. Which really improved my skill set. And that has made all the difference in my career since, because I write things all the time, arrange things all the time for my kids. And if I didn't have those finale skills, it would take longer and I might not do as much.
So you just answered my next question. Is you're a finale guy then? Okay.
Oh, well, and it's just because that's what there was in 1994.
Right. Same way with me. I mean, I have no knock against Sibelius. I just don't know it. I know finale. I'm too old. I'm not going to learn something else. I already know it. So, yeah. Okay, cool. All right, Tony, your questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So next is, what does your program look like as far as like your daily schedule, what your workload is, any after school activities? Take us through a typical day in Jackson County.
All right. So I usually arrive at school about 7:15. At 7:25, my kids who took their instruments home to practice start bringing them in the band room. At 7:30, classes start. So I have a 6th grade band, and then I teach a 6th grade RTI class, which is interesting. We'll come back to that in a minute. And then I have 5th grade band, and I have a couple of cafeteria duties, and then 7th grade band, and then 8th grade band. And then my high school walks across the parking lot and comes and rehearses in the middle school band room. And then every day after school, we have the 21st Century Tutoring Program, which they let me have band kids. So we have not lessons, but lessons. And then on Thursdays, my high school band rehearses after school during that same tutoring time, so they get snapped. And then on Fridays, my jazz band rehearses, and they also get snapped.
Okay.
And then I teach a couple of Cookeville kids privately in the evenings.
Very cool.
That's the 6th grade RTI class. We didn't have enough RTI teachers. Every student in Jackson County is in RTI.
Yeah.
Every single student. And we didn't have enough RTI teachers for the 6th grade. So they asked me if I would teach an RTI class during my planning period. I didn't want to give up. But they said, if you do, then we'll take 2 of your cafeteria duties away, and you can have planning during that time. So that was great.
Yeah.
Instead of 4 cafeteria duties, I have 1 and a part of it.
Okay.
And then I have 6th graders in RTI, so we make tremendous progress because they know how to work.
Now, during
So are you
your
able to
RTI
teach?
Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
I think we had the same question. So do you teach band stuff during that RTI class then?
No, I truly do RTI, but they're band kids, so we don't go outside and goof off. They work, and they work every minute, and they make tremendous gains.
Okay. Let's see. The next question is, what kind of recruitment tools or events do you use?
Well, we tour the schools at Christmas time, and I take all 3 bands, the middle school band, the high school band, and the jazz band, and we'll play Christmas concerts at all the schools. And then I talk about, I want you to pay attention to this concert and see what instrument you might want to play to the elementary school kids. And then the springtime, in May, we do the same thing. And then I stick around for a few minutes and talk to the 3rd graders, who are the oldest ones at our main elementary school, and then I talk to the fourth graders at the mountain school, and then I will go down to their classrooms, and because they're in the same building, fourth grade is in the building with us in the middle school. And I will talk to them before they finish fourth grade and say, you really want to do this. And I'll take some kids with me, cute kids who, play little. And we just go room to room. But we only have the one school, so I don't have to travel to do that. And then when school starts in the fall, I'll do the same thing. I'll go down to the classrooms and talk to them.
Okay. You find you get quite a few more kids after the summer and the fall?
Yes.
Or
we don't try to. I don't try to register them. I don't try to get a list. I don't try to get their instruments because it's such a fluid community anyway. Yeah. That would not work in Jackson County.
Okay.
If you teach middle school, which you do, what does your beginning band curriculum look like as far as method books, any kind of additional curriculum? Do you use binders, folders? What does that look like?
I do use binders for the past couple of years. I didn't for a long time, and then all you guys were talking about how great binders were. So it has worked out pretty well. In our beginning band curriculum, actually in our middle school band curriculum, we use the Standards of Excellence, sort of, and a whole lot of supplemental material. Because like I said, we do a Christmas concert. I do an October concert. We do a concert in March of all Marches. We'll do a concert in May. And then we have little run out concerts to the nursing home and a lot of solo and ensemble stuff. So all of that is not in the book. So the binder gives them a place to keep it. And I also do rhythmic dictation every day. So they all have a whiteboard and a erasable marker, and they keep those in their binder. And then I punch the holes in the method book, and they keep them in there.
Okay. Let's see. What does your score study or rehearsal preparation look like in the real world? Because we got all those, things in college and stuff where spend hours on this, and that's not really practical. So what does yours look like?
I actually do a lot of score study. I do a lot of score study for community band, and I do a lot of score study for the big band, and I do a lot of score study from a high school band. I need to know where the problems are going to be before we ever start rehearsal, because I'm always really pressed on time. So I need to know which kid's going to miss which note, and if there's a way that I can prevent them missing it in our warm-up, then I will do that. And I will design the warm-up that day for whatever problems I anticipate in the piece. So I do spend quite a bit of time in score study.
Okay. And then if you teach high school, which you get the luxury of doing both, what does your curriculum look like in the high school?
In high school, I have about 45 pieces that I want all of my kids to play sometime during their career. And so we'll rotate through those, and then whatever mental health Randy Standy piece comes up, we try to play that. I'm also working a lot trying to diversify, because I got a lot of old dead white guys that we play, and we're trying to play some non-dead, maybe non-white, non-guys. We still do every day. We'll do stretches. We'll do breathing exercises. We'll do the rhythmic dictation. We'll do some kind of long tone study, some kind of articulation study every day, and then launch into the.
It's 8 o'clock.
It's 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Did that come? I don't know where that came from. There's a fourth person in here.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it came from. All right, so that's answered the questions. Let's talk about some of the events and some of the things that that you do. I know that, if I'm not mistaken, Carroll, I think this weekend is your honor band, correct?
Next weekend.
Next weekend. Okay. And so explain that and what it is Twin Lakes Small Band Clinic, and what's the where did it come from, and how has it developed over the years?
Okay, so this is our 28th year of doing small band clinic. When I got to Jackson County, like I said, the band was not very advanced. And I looked around, and most of the small bands in the area were not very advanced. And I attributed a lot of that to just being stuck in their school and not being exposed to a lot of other things. So we were all in the Twin Lakes phone book. So that's where the name of the clinic came from.
Okay.
I got together with the band directors who had phone numbers in that book, and we met at Nick's one evening, and I said I would like to start a not honor band. It's not going to be auditioned. It's not going to be limited. If you want to bring kids, bring kids. And so we had that first year about 60 kids, and it was supposed to be 6 through 12. But one of us brought his fourth graders who only knew a couple of notes. And then over the years, it has grown, and we've separated into two bands. We have a junior and a senior band. And this year we have about 85 kids in each of those two bands.
Wow. Is that the biggest it's been, you think?
Well, we had 100 in each band one time.
Oh, okay.
Which was too much to manage. We bring Tech faculty in, Tennessee Tech faculty in to do sectionals and master classes. We normally have a Tech-like instrument ensemble play a concert for us on Friday night because these kids have never heard a trombone choir or a flute ensemble. But this year, we have Vinny and the Hitmen, who are studio players from Nashville, coming in, and they will break brains.
They will. Oh, my gosh. You're going to have that in the gym, right?
No, they want to play. They don't want to play in the gym. They said they'll just be too boomy. So we'll play in our little cafetorium. It'll be great.
Oh, the kids are going to go nuts.
9 horns and 5 rhythm.
Yeah, they're going to go nuts. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, you bring special guests in to conduct, right?
I bring conductors from out of the area, so it's never going to be your band director.
Right.
I don't go after big names because we can't afford them, but mostly I go after people who have done this kind of thing, who understand what little bitty rural bands are about. This year we have Terry Ashburn, who I stood and taught with in 1987 in Crossville, and Jonathan Hooper, who is from Texas. He taught at Tarleton State University, but he also taught at a bunch of little bitty schools. And I think he's from around the Nashville area. He grew up, but then he moved to Texas. So I'm real excited about both the conductors this year.
All right. Very nice.
Very cool.
Nice. Yeah, I've taken students to it. It's a fantastic event. And I can't recommend it enough for area people to be able to go to it if you've got room that can go, and if you're not too big. If you already got kids sitting in a band of 60 to 80, then it's not new to you.
That's correct.
Right.
And most of these kids don't make their region band. They don't make mid-state. Right. They don't go to honor bands. So it's an opportunity for the rest of your kids to have the honor band experience without the audition.
And have you found in your kids, Carroll, that kids do this, then they might try a little more to try out for mid-state or some of the college honor bands and stuff?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I spell mid-state that way because I say, you remember back when we went to Twin Lakes? They go, yeah, that was great. Yeah. And I said, well, mid-state's like that, except everybody can play their butt off. And they go, oh.
Yeah. Don't you want to be one of those? So you just got through with how did your solo and ensemble night go?
The showcase concert. Yes. It was spectacular. What we do is we go to Solo and Ensemble Festival, and I push that very, very hard.
Yeah.
So in my little bitty band, we had 69 entries in Solo and Ensemble Festival.
Now, let's put this into perspective. How many kids do you have in your program?
I have 30 in my high school band and about 50 in my middle school band.
Okay. But that 69
entries
are duets, many different, they're not all just solos, right?
They're not all solos. Right. And some of those are, I have a senior flute player who took 2 solos and 2 duets and a quartet, and she just wanted to do everything because it's her last go round.
Yeah.
And then everyone who got a 1 at Solo and Ensemble Festival, which was 66 of them, got to play their piece for all of us last night at our showcase concert. And we dimmed the lights in the cafeteria, and we put centerpieces out with electric candles. And all of them have an MP3 track that they have practiced with on a little Walkman. They still make Walkmans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they all have their track on one of the 4 Walkmans around the room, and I have a little boom box. So they just press play. The piano plays, they do their thing. As soon as the applause stops, somebody else presses play in another part of the room, and it just goes around the room like that.
Now, what I want people to understand is all of your events, when they go in the room for judging, also take that boombox in. So they are playing with an accompaniment.
That's correct. Which adds a level of difficulty because it has to line up with the track. It has to tune with the track. But it also adds a deep layer of musicality to it.
Exactly.
It makes them feel more special, and it is a lot more enjoyable for the audience.
Right. Yeah. I've judged many of your students, and they do a fantastic job. They very much know exactly what they're doing when they go in, and you can tell that you've prepped them enough they know exactly what to do, what button to press, how to get, it's not anything extra. So, or it doesn't take any extra time to get ready. I mean, by the time the judge is ready, they're ready.
That's a really big part of my program. We practice everything. We practice how to adjust your stand. We practice which button to push, which volume to turn up. We practice everything.
So let's talk about practice and prepping for solo and ensemble then. What do you start 2 weeks out, a month out, beginning of the year?
When we come back after Christmas, I will take 4 or 5 minutes every day, and I will play a solo or 2 for them. I give them a list of all the solos, all the 100 solos, and they all have a list. And then I will play a solo or 2 every day, and they're to mark the ones that they like, not the one they want to play, just the ones that they like. And then after I go through the whole list, then they are all up on the band website, and they can look at a PDF of them. They can listen to the MP3. And then they'll choose their solo, which is usually middle of February when we're out for snow.
Yeah, exactly right.
And then I'll print them a couple of copies so they can have one for the judge, and download the MP3 track for them. And then they start practicing. And after they write in the counting and mark all the accidentals, they can come to me, and I will help them work on their solo. And we don't take class time for that until the 2 weeks before. But all of the tutoring, most of that is spent on solo and ensemble stuff. And then 2 weeks out, we'll hear them, and that will be the subject of their flip grid. We do a flip grid recording every week. And their solo 2 weeks out will be the subject of the flip grid. And then we'll start taking class time and just pretending like it's the event. You walk in, you say your name, you press play, you do your thing.
Okay. How important, as far as your program is concerned, how important do you think small ensemble playing is as compared to full band or marching band or whatever? How would it rate in your program?
1, 1, and 1. It is. I think chamber music is the most important thing that I do, and I think the way that I can have the successes that I have in other areas is because of the focus on chamber music.
Right. So, and I just wanted to get another voice out there for the importance of chamber music for people who are listening to this, our listeners here. Chamber music, I have found in my, couple of years of experience, is most important. And again, I'll say what Carroll did. It is the most important. That's where kids can't hide. Mm-hmm. They have to be responsible. It's, for me, the most important aspect of the music program.
And when you have a small band, even full band is chamber ensemble. So if they're comfortable playing their part in a quartet or a duet, they're going to be more comfortable playing when they're the only first trombone player, when they're the only second clarinet.
Yes. Right. So if you're one of the band directors, and I don't know, if you do or don't or whatever, but if you're a band director that spends 2 weeks and not prepping for solo and ensemble and just saying, okay, who wants to go solo and ensemble? Well, you don't push it. You don't, I know there's band directors out there that just don't push solo and ensemble much. And I can really tell in their band by listening to the band that they don't push solo and ensemble much. So I just don't know how much more to say. Solo and ensemble or small chamber ensembles are vitally important. My kids are hating this. This is my first year with this group of kids, and all of them are beginners. This is the first year for all of them, and they are absolutely hating me right now because I'm making them play by themselves. I can't do this. I didn't sign up for this. Well, it's part of it. You're going to get better. I try to reassure. We've got the growth mindset thing going on. Mistakes are going to happen, but you got to try it. You don't know if you're going to, you just got to do it. And this is where the biggest and most improvement for students happen. Their self-esteem improves when they figure out, when they take a piece of music that they could not play, and in less than 3 or 4 days, they're playing most of it, or it's sounding better. And then by the time they get done, we've still got in Kentucky, we've still got the end of April, 27th is when our solo ensemble is. Yeah, we're in the midst of it right now, getting ready.
Very cool. Yeah, if you can play one part of a tuba duet, you're going to get a whole lot better than playing the tuba part in a grade 2 piece.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Carroll. All of your solo and ensemble stuff is flexible, right? So it doesn't matter who wants to play what. Anybody can play everything with the solos and the combos and everything.
That's true. I have arranged and sequenced all the piano parts and have all of those printed in every key and have binders. Once again, binders with all those, so you can flip through it and find things. I have all the duets and trios digitized, so I can just transpose that with the touch of a button and make anything work for anybody. For the most part, I have some advanced solos that don't work well for brass players just because of range. I had one kid get in trouble with that, and he didn't get to go solo and ensemble because he couldn't start on his high A on trumpet consistently.
Oh.
And he wouldn't let me transpose it for him because he's a trumpet player. So I said, hey, he wasn't good enough to go this time.
So what's your criteria on as to whether they can go or not?
Oh, you got to be able to do it. If I don't think you're going to get a 1.
Okay.
Well, if I don't think it's, and that's not, but if you're going to get a 3, I don't want you to go and have a bad experience.
Right.
So, I will let kids go that I think will probably get a 2, but
yeah. Yeah, that's why I ensure the kids say, look, I want you to do it. I want you to go. I want you to go. I want you to go. And I will guarantee you, I will not let you go unless I can guarantee you at least a 2.
Yeah.
Now, it's up to you. I'll get you to a 2. You're going to work on it enough on your own to get to 1. And then unless something freakish happens like nerves or whatever, then you might not get a 2, but I'll get you to the point you'll leave here being able to at least get a 2. So
and that's the reason I said I'm not going to let them go unless they can get a 1, because they're kids and they're going to freak out and they're going to get dry mouth and the track's not going to. And so if they can't get to a 1, then I'll probably discourage them. They might not, but yeah. And that sounds good.
Do you require every student? Like right now, I'm requiring every one of my students to do a solo.
Yes.
They're gonna have 3 opportunities. They're gonna do it. Everybody's going to do a solo in class. We're going to take an in class, maybe 2 days, so that everybody gets up in front of the class and performs the solo. Just that. And everybody's got to do that.
Yes.
Then we're having a fine arts night, and they can, if they want to, they can do that. And then the solo and ensemble, the judges thing, if they want to, they can do that.
Yes.
But the only thing I make them do.
I make everybody choose a solo and prepare it. If you go to solo and ensemble festival, it's up to you. But I make everybody choose a solo and prepare it. And my hope is that once they learn solo, they go, well, I just go to solo.
Right.
But that's why we do that in February. So by the time March rolls around and they get to the deadline, we know if they're going to be able to make it.
Right. Tony, how do you deal with? I think we've talked about what we do. What do you do, solo and ensemble? Okay.
Sorry, we're having a dog situation at the house. I kind of do the same thing. I have everybody work up something, and then try to encourage. I do it as a grade too. So if you get a 1, you get an A. If you get a 2, you get a B. If you decide not to go, then it becomes a playing test, and then you're playing for me instead of somebody else. And usually I always try to do my lofty goal was to always get the TBA sweepstakes award, which requires half of your band to go to solo and ensemble, and then half of the people that go get a 1. So I usually have enough to fulfill that requirement.
Okay. Now, Carroll, I was never upset. Of course, I moved to Kentucky this year. So I was never so upset as I cannot use digital copies for my solo and ensemble. I have to provide I have to provide the judge with the original copy in Kentucky, or I printed out, like I bought Schnoodles, those duets, and it comes with a page that says I purchased. So I have to provide that along with the judge's copy. But I was never so mad. I was like,
guess you just have to move then.
Well, yeah. But yeah, I mean, be careful, where you're at. Know your state requirements. Kentucky's state requirements are for solo and ensemble are a little bit different than Tennessee. So, not saying one's better or worse, but I know which one I like more. So, and that's, I don't know. I don't know if I can ever change that, but it's horrible. I hate it.
Well, we should probably be that way, but we're not. So I'm going to keep writing stuff for my kids, and they'll keep playing.
Well, now if I composed it, then there's no problem.
Well, I said write, but I don't write. I arrange.
Well, I know, but anyway, okay. So now, do your kids? Do you get to you let them pick out their solos?
Absolutely. Yes. And that's what I said. I'll play through the 100 and they'll narrow down their choices and then they get to pick. Now, sometimes I will guide them if there's something that they're just too adventurous, but oftentimes they'll pick stuff that I would not have chosen for them and they'll rise to it.
Yeah, because I mean the kids will rise to the occasion. Now, this is my first year with this first year group. I didn't give them a choice the first year. I said, "Here, do this." Now, what I did do was gave like 4 or 5 of them the same solo. I know what you're thinking. But then in class, I can work with 4 or 5 of them at the same time, and then they can work together at the same time. Now, next year
which is exactly why the guy that we're laughing at does that.
Yeah.
He's got
and I'm not laughing. He's very successful with it.
He got 157 sixth grade trombone players. You kind of got to do it.
But I didn't want to this year. I mean, first year they had no idea what they're doing. So I can't leave it just open to them and say, here, this. Now, next year, when they get it under their belt, second year, now I can give them a little bit more leeway. So that's the way I go. So anybody who listens to this podcast, hey, feel free, if you're listening on YouTube, drop in the comments, how do you do solo and ensemble? Or send us an email, ruralbanddirector@gmail.com. Send us a message on Facebook. How do you handle solo and ensemble? And maybe how does your state handle it differently or whatever? Because I imagine, does Tennessee have state solo and ensemble?
I do not know. I do not know.
Kentucky's got a state level solo and ensemble. So we have our districts. And then if you score a 1, well, first off, to qualify for state, your solo has to be on the approved list. And then if you play that and receive a 1 on your solo, then you can go to state solo and ensemble festival. So I think it's just on the high school level. I don't think it's at the middle school level. But yeah. So all right, cool. Tony, I've monopolized a whole lot of this time. What would you like to talk with Carroll about?
I'll take the high school aspect. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your marching band. Your drum majors are always the highlight of the show.
Yes, they never drop a beat, and they are never in the wrong place.
Yeah, I've never seen a mistake.
When I first started in Jackson County 30 years ago, there was a drum major, and she was wonderful. I went to her audition before I got the job, and she was conducting 4 with one hand and 3 with the other. And I'm thinking, why will you ever need to do that? But that's really cool. Let me teach myself how to do that. And then she quit band so she could hang out with the cool kids who still didn't like her. And she sort of trained another girl who was just horrendous. She would give us horns up 3 times before the first note. She would lean down to the snare drummer and ask them the tempo of the tunes every single show. And we made it through that year without a drum major. So I thought, so we haven't had one since my 3rd year here. And we don't have tempo tears. We listen to the snare drummer kick off the tunes, and the band plays together. The band listens. And honestly, I was a pretty conscientious musician. And after the first note, I didn't look at the drum major until the last note.
Right.
So it has to be a good player, and I can't afford a good player. So I'm going to keep them all playing and not use a drum major and be the butt of a lot of jokes.
So that's your reasoning. It's not that you have a hate for drum majors or anything. It's just in a small band, your best player is probably going to be the one that wants to be the drum major.
That's exactly right. Or the one that I want to be drum major will be the best player.
Right. Yeah, it's either that or the one who wants to be drum major has no reason, no, there's no reason for them to be drum major. So yeah, I've faced that. I've been on both sides of that. At my school I'm at right now, we didn't have a drum major this year, and we didn't because we couldn't afford the players, and we're probably going to do that next year too. We just can't afford the players to lose them. So yes, everybody out there who might be listening, if you've got a 25 piece band or however, I don't, if you got a small band and you can't afford the player, it's okay to not have a drum major if you've got a strong rhythm section.
The problem you run into is some contests don't know how to deal with it. So we've taken top winds, top percussion, top guard, got third place because we got a 0 for our drum major.
Yeah, and that's hard to justify to kids.
Yeah,
I mean, it's you were best at this and this and this, but okay, it's my fault because we didn't have a drum major, and I chose not to have a drum major. So it's not your fault. We would have, stuff like this. So luckily,
it's just a smaller trophy to lick.
Yeah. One of the things Kentucky Marching got right was many years ago they did away with the drum major trophy. You went and you still have best percussion, best color guard, and then the music scores, visual scores, all that. But there are no more, and it's been this way for almost 20 years now. There's not a field commander or drum major trophy up here, which I absolutely love. I loved it when they stopped it, So, and then I moved back down to Tennessee. It's like, oh, here we go again. You got to bring in a drum major coach. I was like, okay, whatever. But, it is what it is, So, but if you got a small band, it's okay to not have a drum major. Just know your situation. Know whether you can get away with it or not. So
and arrange well.
Yeah.
You can't arrange a lot of tempo changes.
You mean by stock arrangements with
And then also for your drill, you write your own drill still, right?
I do my own arrangements and I write my own drill, which has a lot of disadvantages because it's a lot of work and all that. But it also has a lot of advantages. When I arrange the kids' parts, I go ahead and put the drill instructions on the music, which we all tell them to write their drill instructions on the music and they don't do it. But that also means that I can make a rehearsal track with each block, each drill block, and I can count over the drill block and they can hear their part. And then I still have a microphone so I can yell at the trombone player to move to his left. No, your left. No, your other left. It works out really well.
And then do you still do the where like the end of the first song ends in the same set as the beginning of the third song, or however you do it?
Yes, the end of the first tune is the picture. And that, of course, starts the second tune, which ends the second tune, starts the third tune, which ends the third tune, and starts the fourth tune. So when we go back to reset the drill, we're already there. Saves a tremendous amount of rehearsal time. And they already know the opening of 3 of the charts when they learn to close the end of the first chart. So yeah, it works very well for me. It's hard to write drill that way. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's hard to write drill that way because we all try to be organic and you force yourself to come back to the same picture every time. But if it's not a really, really strikingly strong picture, I've never had a judge say, hey, I've seen this picture before.
Right. Now, you talked about, rehearsal time. How much, in your situation, what is your rehearsal time for a marching band?
We have an hour and a half after school on Thursday.
So 1 day a week. Right. So, yeah, you got to cram in as much as you can in there. Okay. Right. Tony, you got anything else?
I don't think so.
Well,
do you have any words of advice for somebody that might be
Yes,
in
I
a
do.
situation similar? And
Yes, I do. When you're the only band director in the county, you don't really have a tribe. You don't really have anybody you can go talk to about the situation, and your wife doesn't want to hear about it. So we started as an outgrowth of the Twin Lakes Small Band Clinic. We started the Twin Lakes Small Band Directors Association, and it's not just limited to the people that bring kids to the clinic. We do a 3-day intensive professional development in the summer, 3 8-hour days. So we get 24 hours, and every second is valuable because we present to each other, which means there's no fee. We don't have to pay for anything. And out of that grew the Band Directors Book Club. Once a month, we read a book that's not about band directing, but about being a better person or having a better classroom or management or whatever. And that has just been a wonderful social connection of people that do the same thing that we do. And most of us are all out there by ourselves in the woods. So that's, I encourage anybody in a small situation, go find a tribe, go find people that you can talk to about what you do, who are going to understand what you do. Because your art teacher, she's the only art teacher, but it's not the same.
It's the different. Yeah. It's creative, but it's not what we do.
That's true.
It's totally different. Totally different. So the book club meets in person, right? Once a month or something like that. Okay. And then do you know, Carroll, if Jerry is planning on Zooming or adding the Zoom aspect to the Band Directors Clinic?
I would suspect that he would. So
okay.
I will make sure that he does now that I've said that.
Well, and so we need to get out the information so that people could, if people want to just Zoom in and figure out what we do. Tony and I will probably talk about this more, talk about it more as the closer time it gets. I know this year I'm presenting one session. So we're going to be talking about mindset in band and band class and things like that. So I'd love to, if some of our listeners wanted to, join in, I think that would be fantastic, and join our little tribe. I can't agree more with the tribe. Find people who do what you do. I spent many years without a tribe. Found one, and it's just made the world of difference. I'm a much better teacher, much better director, much better person because I found my tribe, and I'm not trying to do everything by myself.
Yes, better and more efficient, and because you're more efficient, you can be better.
Exactly right. It's great. Find some like-minded people,
and just to get ideas and bounce things off of each other, because college, or at least for me, it prepared me for a monster high school program. And then my very first class, I'll never forget it. I was teaching in a cafeteria at 8 o'clock in the morning. Pre-K was still having breakfast, and I was like, I have no idea what to do, and I had 20 minutes.
Right.
So,
and with that, with our summer clinic, we have power of scale. So we brought Bruce Pearson in with the Zoom call, and he talked about his method book. We brought repair guys in to come and show us how to take a trumpet apart and put it back together, where we couldn't do that individually. I couldn't get them to come to my band room and do that kind of thing. So
we couldn't talk to Michael Rogers or Steve Graves.
You guys had Randall Standridge on there too.
Yeah. I mean, but with this, we were able to do that. And Jerry Buttram from Pleasant Hill. I was going to say Pleasant Shade, Pleasant Hill Elementary School is the one that puts that together, and he's going to be a guest on our podcast in the future. So we're going to talk about that more and more, I'm sure. But yeah, find a tribe. If things to take away from today's episode, find your tribe.
Do solo and ensemble.
Small ensemble. Yes. Chamber music is vitally important. Do what you have to do to do chamber music. And if you have to wait till a solo and ensemble, that's fine. But if you can get it before Christmas in the first semester, I found it be even more effective in first semester and have some solos and ensembles at the Christmas concert. Then you come back in the spring semester and your band's stronger, ready for concert festival. And then you're ready solo and ensemble, things like that. Now, tell us real quick about your, I know you do a summer band camp for marching band, but what's your winter band camp?
Yes. Well, I was about to piggyback on what you said, especially if you're building a program. If you can do some ensemble things, small ensembles on your Christmas concert, you don't have to prepare as many band things.
Exactly. Yep.
So you can fill up your program without taxing your kids so much. But yes, we do a concert band camp the last 3 days of winter break before they come back for school. And we run it just like marching band camp, except we don't go outside. We have sectionals, we have fundamental time. We do a lot of small ensembles during that. And that's where I get a jump on all of the literature that we're going to do for the springtime. We do a huge formal May Day concert in addition to our spring concert that we tour around the school with. And it's pretty heavy literature.
Yeah.
So we get a jump on all that and do chamber music during that concert band camp.
Okay. So you said you got a list of like 45 songs that you want your kids to play throughout their college or throughout their career.
Yes.
Okay. So every 4 years they're playing
a dozen.
Yeah. A dozen pieces.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool. I'd love to hear that.
Would you be willing to share that list?
Oh yeah. I'll have to compile it because right now it's just in the library. But yes, but it's band standards that we've all done, and some move off the list and new ones move on. But yeah,
yes, but it's our list that some of us may be familiar with. But, well, we might be, and we might not be familiar with some of them.
Because you're young.
Yeah, but that if we have any listeners who are still in college or young band directors, they may not know some of these songs. So
that's true.
You know,
and they might have them sitting in their band library, and they just don't know what golden nuggets are in there.
Right. We did a session on that at the band director summer thing too. Stuff that you have forgotten about or you didn't realize was great.
Tell you what, Carroll, we need to have you back on again. Just to let's save that list.
Okay.
And let's have it can be on down the road, but we'll do another guest episode, and that's going to be our topic. You won't have to do the questions. We'll just talk about little gems that are probably in people's libraries that we just don't know about.
Excellent.
Okay, cool. We have taken up way too much of your time this evening. Thank you for being so flexible. And Carroll, thank you so much for being with us. Much respect from both of us to you. And we hope that our listeners out there, if they don't know you already, he is at Jackson County High School in Gainesboro, Tennessee. I'm sure if you just Google search Jackson County High School, Tennessee, you're going to come up with Band of Blue or
yes,
Band of Blue. And if you can find links and find stuff to his website, his Google Classrooms and things like that, he's the most prepared band director that I've ever known. So he's prepared on everything, and yeah. So there we go. Look him up. And you can find out more about his band program and what he does and things like that. So thank you, Carroll, for being with us, and we hope that this gets a lot of listeners.
Hope so too. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. If you liked what you heard, feel free to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at The Rural Band Director.
And if you have topics that you'd like for us to cover, contact us through email at theruralbanddirector@gmail.com.